A man once told me the hardest part wasn't the silence in the bedroom. It was the silence in himself. He was 72, a retired diesel mechanic from Ohio. Big hands that once fixed engines no one else could. But lately, he couldn't fix what felt broken inside. He said, "Doc, I don't feel like a man anymore. Not like I used to. I still love my wife. I still want her. But nothing works down there, and I don't know what to do." He wasn't crying, but his voice had that tremble, that edge. It's the sound of a man who's always solved problems until now. And when your body stops answering the call, you start to wonder if you're even in there anymore. He's not alone. I've seen that same look in factory foremen, retired Marines, Sunday school deacons. Men who once stood tall now feeling smaller. Not from weakness, but from confusion. The thing is, most of them never say a word until they can't avoid it anymore. Until their partner asks what's wrong, or until they've tried the blue pills and nothing feels right. And when they finally speak, they say it like a confession. "Doc, I think something's wrong with me, but here's what I want you to hear, man to man. It's not your fault. And more importantly, you are not broken." I'm Dr. Thomas Leighton. For over 40 years, I've walked alongside men through aging, loss, recovery, regret, and renewal. I've sat with fathers trying to reconnect with themselves, grandfathers who still crave closeness but feel invisible, and men like you who want to understand why something so basic, so human, has grown distant. Most assume it's just age. That once you hit 60 or 70, the engine slows, and that's that. But the truth is, your body still wants to work. It just needs the right conditions, the right care, and sometimes, surprisingly, the right snack. I know it sounds odd, but today, we're talking about 5 humble nuts. Not supplements, not magic, not more pills with side effects. Just real food that's been hiding in plain sight, waiting to help. If this message speaks to you, type 1. If you're unsure, type 0. Either way, thank you for listening. Let's start with one of the most overlooked, the Brazil nut. Just 1 or 2 a day. That's it. And yet, inside this little nut is a powerful mineral your body has likely been begging for, selenium. Now, you won't hear about selenium on television commercials. But for men over 60, it's one of the most important tools you can give your body. Selenium supports testosterone, protects your blood vessels, and helps your cells recover from daily wear. It also fuels the production of glutathione, one of the body's strongest antioxidants. Glutathione acts like an internal shield, guarding your blood vessels from damage. That's key, because blood flow is everything when it comes to strong, lasting erections. The first time I heard a patient talk about this nut, I'll admit I brushed it off. But I started reading the studies, watching the patterns in my own practice. Then I started suggesting it. And what I saw changed the way I understood male aging. One man, 68 years old, retired high school coach, came back after just 3 weeks. He said, "I didn't change anything else, just that one nut, but I'm waking up different." He tapped his chest. "It's like I'm back." You see, men with low selenium often experience fatigue, low mood, even hormonal swings. The body slows down quietly. But when selenium is reintroduced, the shift can feel like turning a light back on. And you don't need a prescription. 1 Brazil nut a day, maybe 2. That's all it takes. But I must warn you, more is not better. These nuts are rich. Too much can lead to digestive trouble or selenium overload. So treat them like a tool, not a snack. A natural medicine that speaks directly to your system. And that's the spirit behind everything I'll share with you. Not quick fixes, not empty promises. Just the quiet, powerful idea that your body is still yours, still capable, still ready to respond. Because the body remembers. It doesn't forget how to love or respond or rise. It just needs to be reminded. That brings us to the next nut. It's common, brain-shaped, and far more powerful than it looks. Walnuts. These little guys are rich in L-arginine, an amino acid your body uses to create nitric oxide. Now, that might sound like science speak, but here's what it means in plain English. When you're aroused, your body sends a signal to your blood vessels. Open up. That signal is carried by nitric oxide. It's what lets the blood flow in fast, what gives an erection its strength and fullness. But as you age, that process slows down. Not because the desire is gone, but because the signal isn't as loud. L-arginine, found in walnuts, amplifies that signal. Just a small handful a day, 6 to 8 halves, can begin to restore what time is quieted. And that's just the start. Walnuts are also packed with omega-3 fatty acids. Those healthy fats calm inflammation, support your heart, and improve your arteries' ability to flex and flow. Which matters because your penis has no muscle to force blood in. It relies entirely on your vascular system. Your circulation is the engine, and these nuts are the oil. I once treated a Vietnam vet who hadn't felt confident in years. He started eating walnuts daily. A month later, he said, "Doc, I didn't expect miracles, but my wife held my hand again like she used to." That's what changed. Because when your body begins to work again, even a little, your spirit follows. You start showing up, not just in the bedroom, but in life. And that is what this is really about. So far, we've looked at two remarkable sources of support: Brazil nuts for testosterone and blood vessel protection, and walnuts for nitric oxide and circulation. But let's shift gears for a moment, because there's a different kind of tired that a lot of men carry. Not just physical fatigue, but mental weariness, a fog, a low hum of something's missing. You wake up without sharpness, go through the day feeling a step behind, and in the evening, there's no fire. Not in your thoughts, not in your body, not in your bedroom. That's where the third nut comes in: almonds. They're plain, familiar, found in just about every grocery store in America. But inside every almond is a trio of nutrients your aging body deeply needs: magnesium, zinc, and vitamin E. Let's talk about magnesium first. It's a mineral that helps your blood vessels relax. That means more fluid blood flow, not just to your heart, but to your brain, and yes, to your penis. When magnesium is low, you may feel tight, sluggish, even anxious. And unfortunately, most older men are chronically low in it, not because they're doing something wrong, but because modern diets don't provide nearly enough. Almonds help fill that gap. Then comes zinc. You've probably heard that it helps the immune system, but for men, it does far more than that. Zinc is essential for testosterone production and sperm quality. Without enough, your hormonal system starts to wobble. Your desire lowers, your energy flattens, and your sense of self, that quiet confidence, begins to blur. A handful of almonds a day can help restore this balance. Slowly, gently, no fireworks, just the steady hum of a system remembering what it's meant to do. And then there's vitamin E. This is an antioxidant that protects your blood vessels, especially the endothelium, the delicate inner lining. That's important because when those vessels become inflamed or brittle, your blood can't flow the way it should. And if blood can't flow, nothing else follows. One of my longtime patients, a 76-year-old grandfather and retired letter carrier, came in for his checkup after adding almonds to his daily walk routine. He said, "Doc, I'm not climbing mountains, but I feel solid again, like something inside me is holding together." That's the power of nutrition that supports from the inside out. Now I know what you might be thinking. All this from a few nuts? Yes, but not just the nuts themselves. It's what they represent. Because these foods aren't trying to override your system, they're not forcing responses with synthetic chemicals. They're speaking the language your body already knows. And when your body hears that language, when it's fed what it recognizes, it begins to trust again. It begins to respond. That brings us to the fourth nut, pistachios. There's something almost joyful about cracking them open, one at a time. But don't let their playfulness fool you. Pistachios are among the most scientifically studied nuts for male sexual health. They're rich in L-arginine like walnuts, helping boost nitric oxide. But they go a step further. Pistachios also provide plant sterols, antioxidants, and healthy fats that work together to improve cholesterol, reduce inflammation, and enhance blood flow. There was a clinical study, peer-reviewed, where men ate just 3 ounces of pistachios a day for 3 weeks. No other changes to their routine. By the end of the study, their erectile function, libido, and sexual satisfaction had all improved significantly. Real numbers, real change, all from a small, crunchy snack. But the benefit doesn't end in the bedroom. Better blood flow affects everything: your stamina, your alertness, your heart, your brain fog lifts, your walk steadies. You feel more whole. That's the word one of my patients used. Whole again. He said, "Doc, I didn't realize how much of me had gone quiet until I started waking up with something to look forward to." It's not just about arousal. It's about anticipation, about presence, about stepping back into your own skin. So how do you add pistachios? Keep a jar near your favorite chair. Reach for them instead of chips. Let them be your bridge from habit to healing. And now, let me share a fifth and final nut with you, one that men often overlook. Macadamia nuts. Rich, buttery, almost luxurious. But more than their flavor, it's their fat profile that makes them so powerful. Macadamias are loaded with monounsaturated fats, the same kind found in olive oil. These fats help lower bad cholesterol, raise good cholesterol, and calm inflammation in your blood vessels. They also support something that's often forgotten: your endothelium. That thin lining inside your arteries is where every erection begins. When it's inflamed, the blood can't rush in, but when it's healthy, it expands like a balloon full, responsive, strong. Macadamias protect that lining. They keep the pipe smooth. They keep the response ready. And here's something most men don't know. Testosterone is made from cholesterol, not the greasy kind, the right kind. Macadamia fats give your body the raw material to create hormones naturally, without external boosters. And because they're satisfying, they help reduce cravings, fewer sugar crashes, more stable energy, less belly fat, which also helps raise testosterone levels naturally. Just 5 or 6 macadamia nuts a day. Not a bowl, not a diet. Just a quiet, steady practice of feeding your body what it actually needs. One man, 81 years old, emailed me after trying them. He said, "Doc, I'm not sprinting, but I'm not shrinking either, and that means something to me." That meant something to me too, because this isn't about youth. It's about dignity, about choice, about remembering that your body, your mind, your manhood still belongs to you. All 5 of these nuts bring something unique. Together, they form a kind of daily foundation, a signal to your system. You are still here, you still work, and you still matter. In just a moment, I want to share one last detail. It's small, but powerful. A nighttime habit that ties everything together. But first, if you've stayed with me this far, if something in this message has stirred something inside you, go ahead and type 1 in the comments. It helps me know you're out there, and that I'm speaking to men who still believe in their own strength. Now, let's talk about what happens when you eat the right food before bed. There's something about nighttime that brings things to the surface. When the house is quiet, the phone is down, and the lights go out, you start to feel things more clearly. The aches, the thoughts, the distance between who you were and who you feel like now. But nighttime isn't just when we reflect. It's also when the body repairs. And that's why what you eat before you go to bed matters just as much as what you eat during the day. There's one nut that stands above the rest for this, and you may already have it sitting in your kitchen. It's the walnut. Yes, we've already talked about walnuts for blood flow, but eaten at night, they serve a second, equally powerful role. You see, while you sleep, your body isn't shutting down, it's going to work. Your hormones reset, your tissues rebuild, and your cardiovascular system gets a chance to rest and restore. Feeding your body walnuts right before bed gives it the tools it needs to do that work more effectively. Here's why. Walnuts are rich in L-arginine, that same amino acid that helps produce nitric oxide, the key to relaxed, healthy blood vessels. But at night, nitric oxide doesn't just prepare you for intimacy. It supports circulation throughout your entire system. It keeps your vessels flexible, your blood flowing steadily, and your repair mechanisms humming. And when that happens, something beautiful can return. Morning wood. For many men, the return of that morning signal is the first quiet sign that their body is coming back online, that something deep within them is waking up again. It's not about performance. It's about presence. Proof that your system still works, that your manhood hasn't disappeared. It's just been waiting. Now, there's another benefit of walnuts at night that's rarely mentioned. They contain melatonin. That's the natural hormone that helps regulate your sleep cycle. And for men over 60, quality sleep becomes harder to hold on to. But when your sleep improves, your testosterone improves too. Because most of your testosterone is made while you sleep, especially in the deepest stages of rest. So if your sleep is shallow, your hormone levels suffer, your recovery slows, your energy dips, and over time, your confidence takes the hit. A small handful of walnuts before bed, just 6 to 8 halves, helps shift that. It calms the body, nourishes the vessels, supports hormone production, and lays the groundwork for erections that return in the most natural way possible in your sleep. No pressure, no expectation, just your body doing what it was designed to do. One of my patients, an 80-year-old former trucker, said to me, "I didn't tell my wife what I was doing, just started eating them at night." 3 weeks later, she gave me a look in the morning and said, "Well now, that's different." He smiled as he said it, not boastfully, but like a man who found his spark again. That's what matters. That smile, that spark. Not because he became someone else, but because he remembered who he was. And that brings us to the heart of all this. Because the nuts, the Brazil, walnut, almond, pistachio, and macadamia, they aren't cures. They're signals. Gentle reminders to your system that strength is still possible. But more than that, they're acts of care. When you reach for these foods, you're saying, "My body matters. My health is worth tending to. My time isn't up." Too many men let their bodies drift into quiet decline, not because they don't care, but because no one ever told them they had a choice. They were told getting older meant fading. That intimacy was a chapter that closed. That softness in the bedroom, in the mirror, in their own sense of self was just something to accept. But I don't believe that. I believe aging is not the end of vitality. It's the beginning of a wiser kind of strength, one rooted in self-respect, simplicity, consistency, and a refusal to give up. And sometimes that begins with what you eat before bed. A handful of walnuts, a small act, but a powerful one. Because you're not just feeding your blood flow, you're feeding your recovery, your hormones, your sleep, your belief in yourself. That's the kind of change that builds, day by day, night by night. And that leads me to the final thought I want to share with you today. If you've listened this far, you're already ahead of most. Not because you've found a secret, but because you've chosen to look inward. You've taken the first step towards something too many men ignore: ownership. Ownership of your body, your health, your future. We've talked about 5 nuts, 5 foods that support testosterone, blood flow, energy, and hormonal stability. Brazil nuts for selenium and testosterone. Walnuts for nitric oxide and endothelial health. Almonds for magnesium, zinc, and vitamin E. Pistachios for performance, cholesterol, and satisfaction. Macadamias for hormone-building fats and artery support. And then we tied it all together with the Bedtime walnut, a final act of care before you sleep. But this message isn't about nuts. It's about nourishment. About remembering that your body is still listening, even now. And that when you feed it what it's missing, not just physically, but emotionally, it will respond. Not in a flash, not overnight, but with the quiet strength of something real. So, if this message touched you perhaps, share it quietly, as it was shared with you. Not to shout it, but to pass it on, one man to another. Stay strong, stay curious, and above all, stay connected to your body, to your strength, to your story. You still have time. And, more importantly, you still have life.